Hey all, this is Val coming at you with another Epic 7 video. And I know, what is this? 2 videos in a week? Am I like a regular YouTuber or what? Come on, like, this is crazy. This is madness. Don't worry about too much what we're doing in the background. We really just have that just for something for us to look at other than this mug here. So what's the point of today's video? What are we talking about? What are the goals here? Today we're going to talk about nerfs. Specifically, the upcoming ML nerfs. We got some more information in dev notes today, and that ML Aura, ML Ball, ML Carmen, ML Vildred are all on the chopping block. Now, there were buffs as well, but we're really not focusing on it because right now there's a lot of confusion. People usually every day in my streams are asking, Val, what are you doing? What is your suggested thing? How do you feel about the nerfs? And this video is going to answer those questions. So let's just jump right into it, right? And let's start talking about these nerfs. So first off, why is this happening? As we know, there was a group of players that were unhappy with the current ML system. Those players had spent apparently thousands of dollars and had not obtained their desired ML or any ML Nat5 in some cases. Now, I'm just really going to say this. This is my personal opinion on it. If you guys don't like it, I'm sorry, but this is how I feel. No matter how much money you spend in this game, where the summon rates are clearly advertised, I mean, they tell you exactly what your odds are. There is no dollar amount there last time I checked. I didn't check rates and it said, okay, if you spend $3,000, yes, you're going to be guaranteed an ML Nat 5. As far as I've seen, and please correct me if I'm wrong, they straight just give you a percentile for that. Currently, in our game, we have the best rates in any gacha. I challenge anyone who was part of that small subset of players who had an issue with this to find a gacha with better rates. Those rates for Moonlight Summons were 2.5% for a ML Nat 5, 27.5% for a ML Nat 4. Combined together, that gives you a 30% chance to get either a 4 or 5-star ML. I challenge you to find any better rates in any other gacha. They are just hands down the best. Now, knowing there's no dollar amount, knowing we have the best rates in the gacha gaming industry, I'm just going to say this. You knew the rates, you knew there was no set dollar amount, and you still rolled on it. Regardless of how you feel it turned out, regardless of the dollar amount you spent, should have deserved an ML Nat 5. The fact of the matter is, it is all RNG with the rates clearly posted. There is a matter of personal responsibility. Smilegate did not put a gun to your head and say, hey, I want you to do this so you can get nothing and you can make all of us rich. That is not what they did. You chose to do it, knowing it going in, and now you're upset with the result of it. I'm sorry, but that's just how life works. You don't always get what you want. I challenge that small subset of players to go into a casino and then lose and try to demand their money back because they spent so much they should have won. It just wouldn't happen. One of two things would happen. Either they would laugh, realize you were serious, and laugh harder. I love that meme. Or they would look at you like you're dumb and kick you out of their casino. That is just how it is. In my opinion, I think that's how Smilegate should have handled it, due to them having the best rates and being extremely, extremely player focused. Now, I personally believe that Smilegate actually this game is a labor of love to them. We are not merely just dollar signs that float around. If you look at the responses they have given that small subset of players, they have been excellent. They have really been catering, trying to really make everyone happy as best they can. They've looked at their own mistakes, realized they've made them, they've corrected them. And not only when they correct the mistake do they correct it, but they also give us a detailed explanation as to why the change was necessary and why they changed what they changed. I challenge you again to find any other gacha company out there that gives you that kind of level of support and information from the dev team. Now, enough about that, what got us here. Okay, so we're here What are we going to do? What should we expect? Well, first thing, we know who's already on the chopping block. Those units we all can agree really needed to be hit with the nerf stick. ML Armin is just, she's amazing. I like her, but she's a little too strong. ML Aura gets pretty much 2 turns every turn. The only time she really only takes a single turn is when she calls in her big comet for her ult. And then ML Ball, I mean, you really can't buff against them. You can't do anything against them. You have to 1-turn kill them, or you have to go in super tanky and then have a long, drawn-out fight. And apparently that's not what the devs want, because they're looking at changing it. So those first few nerfs, I mean, we kind of all knew it was coming. I mean, I saw the writing on the wall. They're just too good, right? And they need to be brought in line with everyone else. Now, I am taking a wait-and-see approach to these particular nerfs, because with the nerf of ML Armin, the other 3 nerfs may not seem as bad. Remember, Vildred needs to be that powerful to burst through ML Armin and still not guarantee the clap. This way, his damage can be less. Maybe, you know, they're going to maybe reduce the buff they gave him by half. Maybe now he'll only do 15% damage. I don't know. I don't know what it is. This is just me guessing. But that impact may be less to you, because I challenge you to go into any high-end legend or champion 3 and above PvP match and find a team that is not using ML Armin on defense. So your Vildred had to be thick. Your Sez had to be thick to get through that. Now, because he was so thick, it was kind of negating what they probably want to do with Fallen Cecilia, that he could burst through their shield. So once they adjust ML Armin, maybe that will give newfound balance to Cecilia or Fallen Cecilia, and that will be where it is. So let's just take a wait and see approach to those, okay? They seem solid. They're really well based. I think anyone who has them, I have 2 of those units, and I know they're OP. I have no problem with the nerfs. I won't try to say, oh, well, there's a way to counter them. There's a way to counter everything. But the question is, what does that take? And is the counter in line with how SG sees the game progressing? If it's not, then ultimately, regardless of our opinions or what we think is the case, it is their game. They have a plan for it, and I truly believe they have a plan, and they will bring everything into line to fit that plan, to have a fair playing environment, and to give value to many units, not just a select few. So that's how I feel about the initial nerfs that we got from the dev notes. Now, for the whole rebalancing overall for the entire ML community, now that is a different story, right? So basically, let's go back to what I said initially about us having the best rates. So due to the small subset of players' complaints, now we're going to be rolling the ML summons into the Covenant summons. Now, how I feel about that personally is, I think it is a mistake, because if you look at our summon system now, our MLs, when we do a bookmark, Galaxy bookmark summon, it is only Moonlight units. There's nothing else in the pool. There's no artifacts. There's nothing. If we roll those into Covenant summons, now we have artifacts to deal with. We have this. We have that. So the rates naturally, in my mind, again, I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they have a way around this, aren't going to be as good as they are right now. Again, keep in mind when I say this, as of this video, we have the best rates in any gacha currently out. You have a 30% chance to pull one of the strongest units in the game. Now, balance aside, right? Balance aside, that is excellent. You could get a really great unit. You could get Vildred, you can get Aura. Granted, you don't have 2.5% chance to pull Aura. You have a much smaller percent chance. But with all the Nat 5s in the pool together, you do have a combined 2.5% chance, which is, I mean, that's just the best in the industry. That's industry leading, but folks complained about it. My fear is that those rates are going to go down, and it's going to turn into pretty much like every other gacha on the planet, where you're going to have such a small chance to obtain these units. And to make matters worse, due to the rebalancing, you may finally pull that ML kin and it not be much better than your fire kin. Then you have to look at it and say, was my complaint worth it? Now, those two things are separate. Keep that in mind. The rebalancing effort is separate from the adding them to the Covenant pool. The rebalancing, basically, you take a look at units like Aura and Carmen, and you're like, all right, this is definitely, they're really, really strong compared to other units, like ridiculously strong. So that had to happen. Now, the rates comes back to what I was saying about gambling and owning your personal responsibility. I'm sorry that you spent X amount of dollars and got nothing, but you knew the rates going into it. It is those complaints that is actually causing those units to be added to the Covenant summon pool. And I think, personally, it's a mistake. But I've said this many times, and it actually has not tilted me, but it's made me extremely defensive on stream when it comes up. Not because my viewers are like rubbing in my face saying, haha, the MLNet 5s you have are getting nerfed, and this was before they were announced, right? So, and they're like, so now, me will be able to compete with you. That's not what it is. Is that my stream asked me questions, for instance, like, wow, how do you feel about it? And it comes back to personal responsibility for me. You knew the rates going in. I'm not talking about the rebalancing effort. I'm strictly talking about the adding them to Covenant summons because you didn't get XYZ unit in so many summons. When things are posted in my mind and you click on it and accept it, then you accepted it. You lose your argument at that point, especially combine it with the fact that you have the best rates in any gacha. I played Summer's War for 2.5 years. I was not free to play. I actually spent quite a bit because we didn't have our home at the time, so I had a lot more disposable income. And out of 2.5 years, maybe 3 years of playing, I got 0 Nat 5s. And sometimes I double bought the Light Dark pack because back in the day there was a bug where you can log in one device and buy it and then log into another device and buy it again. So you take that into consideration, the fact that I never got one of them, and that just tells you the kind of rates you're dealing with there. Now, all this, you take all that, you know how I feel, how I feel about personal responsibility. My mind did change, and it was because of one of my viewers in the stream, and he said something quite simple. And Edwin, I want to give you credit to this because it really made me reevaluate my position on this. Smilegate, I've already admitted, is a company that cares about the game, cares about the players, and they want to see it succeed, not just from a monetary standpoint, but because I believe they truly do have a love and passion for the game and for the players. And I don't think they would do anything that would upset that balance or that reputation intentionally. Sometimes you do things unintentionally and you hurt the people that depend on you, and that just happens. But it's all in how you make that up. And I believe Smilegate is doing their best to correct any perceived wrongs that we feel they've done to them, whether they are actually things they did or not. That's why I use the word perceived. So, Edwin said, you know what? You've already said you like them. Why don't we just wait? Calm down a bit, Val. Let's see what they do. Because in truth, we don't know what they're going to do. We don't know how the rebalancing effort is going to look. We know who is going to be the first few units, but we don't know what that overall effort looks like. We do not know what the Covenant Summon new system looks like, but yet I am making all these assumptions that it's just going to be the worst thing, that the rates are going to be worse, and honestly, I don't have any facts to back that up. I have an educated guess in the fact that since there's going to be more units in the pool, it's actually going to be harder to get them, and due with the rebalancing effort going hand in hand with that, I feel that you could finally pull that MLNet 5 you've been waiting for and find that it lacks power. So all of those are just assumptions. They're based on an educated guess on how things currently are, but they're still an assumption because Smilegate hasn't said how it's going to be. So my attitude, and I think how we should all look at this, is a few things. One, save all your Moonlight and Mystic summons for now. My logic behind that and why I think that is Smilegate has never taken anything away from us and not given us equivalent value. As of right now, and trust me, I understand there's events that give gold transmit stones. I understand that there's other free ways to get gold transmit stones. Because of right now, as a player, if you have 6 golden transmit stones, that is equivalent to 600 bookmarks. That is because it takes 100 bookmarks to reach 20 summons, which gives you 1 gold transmit stone. That means for anyone who has 5 Galaxy bookmarks, that is a representative of 600 bookmarks and 120 summons that you have done. Because of this reason, because people like myself could have actually done that many summons, free gold transmit stones aside, I do not believe, and again, this is an assumption, that Smilegate has a way to tell transmit stones you earned for free or transmit stones you got by spending bookmarks, so as to not screw the people who did invest heavily and use a lot of bookmarks to acquire their transmit stones. I personally believe they are going to give you the bookmark value of that. So that means every 5 Galaxy bookmarks will be worth 600 bookmarks. People will say you're crazy. Why is it crazy? Because any other way you're actually screwing the people who summoned 120 times and spent 600 bookmarks now to attain those. So I don't think there's any way, because I believe they do love the players. They do always err on the side of the player. That small subset of players who complained ended up getting 2 summons for us, 2 5-star summons, and then 2 5-star artifact summons. Even though the issue didn't affect some of the players that received them, like it affected that small subset of players, they still gave it to everyone. That is why I truly believe there is no way they will leave us high and dry with a meager whatever else it could be, or someone thinks it will be. I just don't see them doing to that due to their love of the game and their respect for the players. Now, Mystics, I don't have an explanation for that on how they would do that, because there's no way to equate that to actual bookmarks. So I'm not sure what they would do there. But my recommendation is hold on to them and look forward to the conversion. If the conversion looks crap, because they usually always post this a week before they actually do something, then you can go ahead and just say, all right, the conversion looks like crap. I'm going to go ahead and spend my bookmarks, spend my Mystic Stones before this comes up. They did the same thing with AP. So I do have faith that that will be the same thing here. So that's my first suggestion. My second suggestion is, if you do have an Arbor of Vildred, Aura, Ball, or whoever you may have, don't immediately rush out and de-gear them. The patch hasn't happened. Okay, we don't even know what the nerf is going to be. Still hold on to them, still leave them geared, continue to use them as you do today, and then once the patch notes come out on what exactly is nerfed, then move from there. Keep in mind, look at it overall, not just on that single unit. Remember, your Vildred needed to be as strong as he was to try to get through the Ciarman. Now that the Ciarman is going to be nerfed as well, we'll have to wait and see what that actually looks like after the fact. Maybe the nerfs together will still have Vildred playable. Also, once they are nerfed, still try out the unit. I myself still use Sez for about 3 days after the Wind Rider nerf, and honestly, it wasn't the end of the world. I feel a lot of people cried, the sky is falling, and the sky actually wasn't falling. Things were fine for me. I just went with Arbiter Vildred because he was a slightly better cleave. Now, lastly, the attitude. The attitude I'm going to take is wait and see. That's what I'm going to do, because that is the wisest thing to do. It doesn't make sense to get all upset and frustrated about things you don't even know is going to be the case. I don't know how the rates are going to be. I don't know how they're going to handle the Covenant summon with ML summons. It could be the best thing I've ever seen. I already like what they've done with the best rates in the game to date, so I don't think that they want to hurt that or upset their players by making an even worse system than the one they're getting away from. So Edwin, again to you, I say thank you for that very level-headed and sound advice. I encourage all players to try to look at this with a critical eye and wait until we actually see the results of how this is all going to roll out, and then we can all make an informed decision from there. Well, that's going to do it for this video. I am sure there's a lot of people that have a lot of comments about this. Feel free to leave it below. You think I'm absolutely crazy, I'm too old school, whatever the case may be, feel free to leave that. I do take constructive criticism very well. I also take praise extremely well. As always, thank you all for watching, and all you dudes and dudettes out there, stay frosty.